Hi guys, I'm Andrew from Cruisemaster, and today I'm going to show you the newest build from our Towing Performance Centre, and that's our R.A.T run Toyota Landcruiser 200 GXL. When doing a big build like this one, it's really easy to get carried away when it comes to weights. So some of the parameters you need to consider are the front axle capacity, the rear axle capacity and the GVM of the tow vehicle, the bull weight and the ATM of the Caravan, as well as the GCM of the combination. As you can see from the Cruiser behind me, it's pretty modified. In particular, we've been focusing on making sure that it can suit Australia's conditions when we're out testing on our remote area testing trips. In fact, this is going to be the lead vehicle on the trip coming up this year, so it needs to be built tough. However, a lot of the products fitted to this vehicle and modifications that we've done are stuff that you will find on many other towing vehicles running around Australia. If you are interested in seeing what's gone into this vehicle and the products we've selected and why, we've got a new video coming up shortly which will go through all of that. One of the major modifications of this vehicle is its suspension kit and GVM increase. This is all gear from J-Max and it includes a replacement rear diff housing, trailing arms, upper control arms at the front, and a pretty fancy King's remote reservoir shock and spring combination. This allows us to increase our GVM whilst maintaining our brake towing capacity. I'm going to talk a bit more about that as we go, but now we're going to get the 200 over the scales and see where we ended up. So that was a good result. Even with all the modifications on the vehicle and me sitting in here as the driver, we managed to keep below the 1700 kilo OE front axle rating. Even if we had added a bit more, we would be all right because this J-Max kit has an 1800 kilo front axle capacity. So now let's have a look at what happened to the rear. All right, so now we've measured the back of the vehicle. It's a lot of numbers to go through here, so bear with me. So with me in the vehicle, the rear axle weighs 1,508 kilos. That takes us to the total vehicle weight of 3,162 kilos. This particular vehicle with the J-Max modifications got a GVM of 4.2 tons. So we've got over a ton of payload left. Now if we take my weight out, which weighed me just before, I weigh 80 kilos. That takes us to 3,082 kilos. The reason that's important is we compare that to the Toyota specified curb weight, which we have measured on multiple vehicles, and it fluctuates plus or minus 40 kilos either side of the stated 2,740 kilo number specified by Toyota. So that means we've only put on 342 kilos in this build. And considering the amount of stuff we put on it, that's a pretty good outcome. So now we're going to attach a Caravan to the back of the 200 and see what happens. We previously weighed this Caravan behind me so we know where we sit. The most important thing we're looking at here is the rear axle capacity and the change of that with the bull weight from the Caravan. We previously weighed this Caravan at 3,290 kilos all up, with a 330 kilo bull weight. So now we're going to see the effect of that 330 kilo bull weight through the coupling into the back axle of the vehicle. Right, with the Caravan on the back, we've added a substantial bull load to the back of the vehicle, and that's caused the weight on the rear axle to go up to 2,026 kilos. Now, if this vehicle was in stock form and that has a rear axle capacity of 1,950 kilos, we would be over. However, this J-Max kit has a 2.5 ton rear axle capacity, so we've got plenty extra to spare. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's gone up 520 kilos on the rear axle, and the bull weight of the van is only about 330 kilos. This is because we've had weight transfer come off the front axle and onto the rear due to the weight on the back of the car. To show the effect of the weight transfer from the front onto the rear of the vehicle, we're now going to weigh the front axle again. Right, from those numbers you can see the effect of the weight transfer from the front axle to the rear axle and where that over 500 kilos came from. Additionally, if we add the 330 kilo ball load to the original 3162 that we weighed the vehicle with me sitting in it we're just under 3.5 tonnes. So we've got plenty of GVM left to spare. Now, if we do want to tow at the full 3.5 tonne brake towing capacity that this kit allows us to do, we've also got plenty of range left there as well. Interestingly, with the careful selection of modifications that we put onto this vehicle, we even managed to stay below the factory GCM of 6,850 kilos. This is why we take the weights of the parts and modifications to these vehicles here at the Cruisemaster Towing Performance Centre very seriously. We've got a new video coming out soon, so if you want to see all the modifications done on this 200 series behind me, keep an eye out on Facebook and YouTube to make sure you don't miss out.